Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I really appreciate that this motion has come forward, because it does provide us with an opportunity to do a lot of things, more than just change the legislation. There is an education that needs to be made on this. I've said it a number of times in the House here. I'm 50. And growing up, I grew up in a small town, Wellington, south of Belleville. About 750 people lived in the community when I lived there. And I remember one street in particular, Nile Street. For those of you who don't know Prince Edward County very well, it heads out to the dump. And just as you pass the dump, there's a 90-degree left turn. And as a kid, we used to go out to the dump a fair bit, ride our bikes out there, because it was a great place for us to play. You can't do that anymore. But we would build forts and so on. What sticks out in my mind is there was a section of the road, because it was fairly long and straight, where someone had painted a drag strip. You could do the quarter mile right there, just 2 minutes outside of town. And what I remember most about it, very interestingly, is my father had talked about it a couple of times. The paint that was used was actually provided by MTO to put the drag strip on. That is what things were like 40 years ago. That was kind of the attitude. And the reason I bring it up is because there has been an attitude change on a number of different things. Stunt driving is seen as something sexy that we should do. Everyone should engage in it. I recall as a kid growing up, drunk driving was considered the norm. And I recall distinctly, after winning the Squirt All-Ontario Baseball Championships at home in Wellington, at about 8 years old, there was a big party on the field afterwards, and so many people were drinking. And the joke the next day was they had to drive home because they were too drunk to walk. And that was the attitude that we had. That attitude changed. That attitude changed through legislation. That attitude changed through education. And it's something that we need to do right now as well. If you go onto YouTube and do a search for Stunt Driving Ontario, you're going to find thousands of videos. It's cool for some of these idiots to pull out their cell phone and record them doing idiot stunts with a whole group of people around. And in a lot of these videos, you see someone smash into a group of people because the spectators are there. One of the problems with smartphone technology is that we've made people really stupid by doing it, and we do stupid things. In my riding, 2 incidents in particular. On November 19th, an 18-year-old was driving up to Peterborough to the driver test centre with his G2 to go for his G license and got pulled over doing 155 kilometres on the 115. And then about 3 weeks later, another idiot with their G2 license driving up to get their complete license clocked at 158. They don't get it. And I do blame a lot of things on media, on mainstream media on it. And I'm going to hit one in particular, and that's Pepsi. A number of years ago, they put out a commercial with Jeff Gordon test driving a Camaro and what he put that salesman through. Jeff Gordon is a race car driver, absolutely a fabulous handler behind the wheel of a car, but he made it look cool to do something like that with a Camaro. We need to change that narrative, and this motion is a great step forward in changing that narrative so that we are protecting people. Thank you, Madam Speaker.